In this video today, I am going to explore or give my side of the version of what happens when we die, and who is appropriate or adequate to talk about this, who has gained the type of information that would be most applicable to understand what happens when the body dies. And we can look at the work of neuroscientists and anesthesiologists and other doctors, and their sides of things and understanding is also valid, of course. But it doesn't explain what happens to this qualitative, experiential side of things once the body stops working. As all evidence already points towards people having experiences when the brain itself is already in the default state. Like under certain types of surgeries where there is a full anesthesia, or a brain surgery where the brain has been run down to its most redundant state of living. People have had their heads cut open, their eyes are covered over, they have blankets over them, over their faces, and can recall every single thing that happened during the operations. What was spoken about, what the music was playing in the background, what people looked like, the surgeons, the doctors and nurses, and even the accounts of people in comas for a long time, sometimes years. And then they come back to being awake and will recall many, many events and interactions that they'd had unconsciously with people that were at the side of their bed, at their body. Remembering conversations, what people had said, things that had been done. And then there's terminal lucidity. Terminal lucidity is a term that is given to an event when an individual suffers severely from things like dementia or Alzheimer's. They don't remember their family's names. Sometimes they're fully comatose. And then, mostly within the last 24 hours of their life, they come back to full lucidity and full sobriety. And they speak to their family or whoever's close. And they speak to them with clarity, and they are usually quite positive, heartwarming. And often the doctors report that this should be a scientific impossibility. It's biologically impossible that these individuals gain such lucidity and are able to communicate with such direct clarity. And this is an unexplainable, reductionist, materialist doctor's problem. They call it an unexplainable phenomenon. So let's have a look at what's really happening with terminal lucidity. So if we consider the body as being an expression of the mind, which I believe it is, and many others are beginning to also understand this, even in bioelectricity, then the mind will have ways of overcoming certain issues within the body as the body begins to regress. What's happening in severe cases of Alzheimer's and dementia and people in a coma is that the mind is able to increase the connectivity of the brain waves to the remaining neurons or neuronal pathways that are in the brain to stimulate the body. It does this by an increase in DMT. If we were to check the blood of these people that experience terminal lucidity, we would find an increase of DMT in their blood at them moments. I suppose more importantly is the question, why would the mind want to override the cerebral cortex and command the body more proficiently? This is because when the mind transitions over from being in this physical body, in this reality, to the next one that is less physical, but still a body and still a reality. It needs to do this with as little emotional baggage as possible, depending on the agreements of the mind at that time. So if the mind is struggling inside a body that isn't functional anymore, the minds will do their best to communicate and resolve issues in the physical world before they say goodbye and transition over to the other state. And what do I mean when I say the other state? I'll explain this from the perspective of somebody who frequently experiences existence outside of the body, and also can remember other lifetimes that my mind has had, and the places in between lifetimes. The other state, outside of the physical body, is best explained as a very realistic dream. And once we leave this body and we transition to the other state, the experiences and lifetime we had in the body will also be remembered as a very realistic dream. And so, it is a constant series of back and forth of having very realistic dreams and holding on to the memories that are necessary for the plans and choices and growth we wish to ensue as the mind evolves. The whole point of incarnating into a body is to evolve the mind and the mind family that you are a part of. Versions of you precede and exceed this body. The changes happen during the body as you learn and grow from certain experiences. Qualitative experiences where you take action and reaction. The point is to grow, and optimally to grow in accordance with and to ensue the greater goals of the larger minds that you're a part of. Goals work from the top down. Achieving goals is idiosyncratic to your environment. And why are goals a top-down mechanism? Well, because we need something to aspire to. We need meaning, a larger meaning than just being content with a banana. Larger meanings like unconditional love, unison, an understanding of wholeness, and a curiosity to learn more, to understand. Like all things, meaning is hierarchical and has qualities to it. All are valid, but there are different levels of energetic qualities to different types of meaning. And in relation to terminal lucidity, we can also consider other attributes of the mind overriding the body from our materialist perspectives. Such things as the placebo effect, which is becoming harder and harder for pharmaceutical companies to actually win in trials. The placebo effect has for a long time been the most prolific and effective medication so far. This is due to a mind-to-mind causality. The beliefs and actions and behaviors of the mind have a stronger effect on the body than most medication. So there is a strong element of mind involved to the results of our physicality. The body is the mind's expression. And so again, I would like to put emphasis on the importance of thought, emotion, action and reaction. Just look at the statistics and correlations with people that have high stress and live high stressful lives, are suffering from chronic depression for prolonged periods of time, etc., etc. Their bodies deteriorate, their brains deteriorate, and their hearts deteriorate much quicker than those that live primarily through the opposing qualities of action, reaction, emotions, and thought. And so loving yourself unconditionally seems to be the key, not just to a healthy life, as the mind is responsible for the body, but also for a more fulfilling life. We have to stay curious and follow things that have high meaning for us, that are meaningful. If you follow the things that are meaningful and you are curious, time kind of slows down. Another avenue of the mental-to-mental causality is either self-hypnosis or hypnosis from other people, where terminal cancer begins to regress, terminal heart conditions, even empirical evidence showing things like warts just disappearing. This is a virus. Empirical evidence from hypnosis of viruses completely leaving the blood of an individual due to hypnosis and no other treatment involved at all. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening and stay curious.